Hey guys, BlackRat update. So what have I done? I've dropped the tank since the last video, put in a Walbro fuel pump to handle the demands of the turbo engine. That is always a fun job, but can't complain too much because it is a lot easier with a hoist and with the engine out of the car. So that had to be done, taking the coolant lines out and the radiator out because a previous owner used a couple of bottles of radiator stop leak to try and plug a hole in the heater hose, which doesn't work, but it did make it nice and gunky and horrible inside, and I want to flush as much of that out as possible before I put the new engine in. Pulled out the entire harness from the front kick panel to the tail lights. As it's an NA car, you can modify a few wires on that and make it work, but I don't really want to mess with it. I have a turbo parts car outside, so I have the body harness there and the engine harness there, so it'll all just plug in, and I think everything should work perfectly fine. We've got the turbo factory ECU and the non-turbo one, which I've already taken out. The engine bay. And of course, while the engine's out, you have to detail the engine bay. So I ratted it out a little bit. Nice rusty heat shield there. Made it look a little bit creepy and ratty on the inside there to fit the theme. And of course, put the intercooler in ready for the turbo engine. And I ratted out the transmission. I'm still going to use the S54 with the turbo engine. I just don't warrant putting an E153 in that. They're expensive and I just don't want to. I do have a spare one there, but that's a spare for the V6 turbo. So it will have S54 axles and a 3SGE clutch. This is actually the clutch I used on the V6 turbo before because it had a modified 3SGE flywheel. But that let go at 320 foot-pounds. This is the disc out of the car originally. This was the disc that was in it in the V6 turbo, but it is a 21 spline to fit the E153. This is a 20 spline to fit the S54. I'm probably just going to get a new disc though, because that is looking a little bit worn. So I might see if I can get another one of those in a 20 spline or just another disc. The pressure plate is high pressure, is a high performance one anyway, so I think it'll handle this stock turbo engine perfectly fine. It just wouldn't handle the V6 turbo, which makes a lot more power. And so I did new seals, I got a new clutch release bearing, gave it a good clean. I replaced this line here because that had gone on me before, and I reflared it and rejoined it in the car, which was a real pain, and I just don't trust it, so I'll replace it now while it's out, and that's ready to go in. And I think that's about it. I got a couple other rusty detail bits which I'm going to put in. So I had the X bar in before, rusted out. I've got another brace which will go in there over the engine. I've modified the front one by adding this extra bar and rusted that out. Ratted out the spare wheel, radiator supports, and the other bar as well. So those will all go in to the frunk, and I'll probably detail the frunk very similar to what I've done here as well. I also want to play around with some mods on the bumper and probably front guards and just make it look a little bit more nasty. And so that's where we're at the moment, and I'll keep you posted as things progress.
One eternity later.
Okay, so I've been waiting on a clutch disc for a few more days than expected, and instead of being a good boy and getting everything else ready to go, so when I had the clutch I could put the engine straight in and get it running, I got distracted and started getting creative. So the rear bumper didn't actually catch fire from that previous burnout in the previous video, but for some reason I wanted to make it look like it did. And there, I also cut off this guard for the exhaust because I don't like it, and this has opened this whole bottom up a lot more. I cut it just below the seam and folded that seam up. It's been primed and underbody sealed. I also cut off about an inch of the bottom of the lip, the bumper here, So it's going to expose a lot more of the underside. I got a nice chrome stainless steel exhaust, which is just going to, yeah, just, I don't know, I just like the look. If you see my AW11, it's like that too. The whole back end's opened up and there's a great big exhaust in there and it looks quite cool. I quite like it. Also you got to have your Honda Racer little, what do they call these, diffusers? I don't know, I just thought it was cool. There's another MR2 that has these and has this whole bottom end opened up. Quite like the look of. I'll post a picture here somewhere. And then the center garnish panel, I wanted to do something cool with. I was going to cut it out and just run some barbed wire, but then I thought I can just do it like this, and it's just a couple of little holes. I can fix it up quite easily if I ever want to revert back. Yeah, kind of messed around with all of that. I think it looked quite cool once it's back on the ground, and you've got the exhaust there, big old stainless steel exhaust, big old tyres in the back, and that's all you'll see from the back of it. And anyway, that dragged on, and I did end up being a good boy and putting the cooling system back in and the wiring back in, mostly. So there we have the body harness, ECU, everything's ready to go there. My clutch disc did arrive, so I just got a full plate organic XZE clutch disc. These are the heavy pressure plate and flywheel, so I'm going to do all that now, marry those back together, chuck it back in the car.